How's it going, guys? My name is Aaron, and today I'm going to be starting a new series, and I'm going to call it Let's Talk Football. And for all those Americans out there, soccer, even though I, being American, call it football anyway. And in this series, I'm going to be talking about real-life football, and most likely in the background you're going to be seeing a game of seasons or some type of game, maybe an ultimate team game. It's really going to depend on what I'm playing at the time. Today I know I'm playing a game of seasons, and hopefully with this series I can get other people in it and make it more like a podcast. I know my friend Grant, our Master of Donuts, I'll leave a link in his channel in the description. He wanted to do it, possibly do a podcast, and he could get a friend of his on YouTube as well to get in here, and we could have a couple people in doing a podcast talking about real life soccer, and eventually maybe make this into, like, instead of me doing 15-minute videos of me talking about soccer by myself, I can get other people in here and maybe make it like hour-long live things, or just like hour-longs, and I just upload it in general. But today, and Let's Talk Football, I want to talk about the Confederation Cup and mainly World Cup qualifying as well. Sticking away from club football, that'll be coming later when I get more rumors about who all is going to play where, and once the teams are all done, we'll do predictions and whatnot. But the first thing I want to talk about is Neymar. As you know, he scored 2 goals in the 2 games for Brazil in the Confederation Cup, both actually the opening goals of the games and the opening goal of the tournament. And he obviously is a very explosive player. He's really, really good, very fast, very good with skills, and has an amazing shot to him. As today, I think he got it off the volley, and it's just a really good finish from him. I really enjoy watching him play. He's a very explosive player, as I said. But the one thing I do have to complain about is, he committed 5 or 6 fouls, I want to say, before he was actually given a yellow card today. I was told he was given a yellow card. I'm not too sure if he was. I'm pretty sure it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course. But I don't think he should be getting this much leeway. I know he's a star player and everything, but I mean, it just seemed like he was getting away with too much, and he shouldn't be getting away with that. Because I saw some players that were booked almost instantly on their first foul, but no, he gets not one warning, but multiple warnings, and I think that needs to be stopped. Because he shouldn't be getting that. Just the refs for the Confederation Cup, they just have been so inconsistent. There's been penalties missed, people have been dragged down and haven't been given cards, or they haven't been given the proper cards, like they haven't been getting red cards and whatnot. And the refs just haven't been the best. I want to say probably one of the more better officiated game was the Italy versus Japan game. And, still, there were some missed calls in that one. I know there's going to be missed calls in everyone, but I think the missed calls are just, some of them are just too many in a game, or they're just obvious calls. And speaking of Italy versus Japan, I want to talk about Japan. Sadly, they lost today, of course, or today, I guess it would be yesterday when this will be uploaded. But sadly, they lost to Italy. They played an amazing game, and in all honesty, once Italy scored in the first, it was sort of first half, they scored. It was sort of all Japan. In the second half, it was Japan. Italy just happened to get their goals in there. But whenever Japan created those chances, there was just multiple chances, and they got very unlucky, with the shot. I can't remember who took the shot, but he took a shot, hit the post, and I want to say it was Kagawa, went up for the header, and then he hit the crossbar on the header. You just couldn't get any more unluckier. And there was another goal. It was just offsides. And they really played an amazing game of football out there. Truly deserved to win the game, in my opinion. I think they played way better than Italy did. And I know Italy did good, but I truly think Japan played the better game. And in all honesty, I'm saying this with all seriousness, I think Japan is a force to be reckoned with in the World Cup. Because I think before, when people look at the Asian teams, they look at them like, what, good, they're in our group for the World Cup, they'll be easy to blow by. But I think that Japan team, I think they really stand a really good chance of going into the World Cup and possibly advancing, just because they stuck with Italy, one of the, world-class teams out there. And when the way they played is just very nice, as you know. Most of the Japanese players don't just play in the J League, but they also play in like the German league. I know there's some in Serie A, and Japan, they're sort of growing. They have a lot of German influence in their soccer in the J League, and they're sort of growing, and they're becoming a nice nation in football, and they're not actually as bad as people lead to say. And it's great to see growth in other countries that are not always known as soccer powers, and maybe soon, who knows, maybe one day we'll see a Asian team actually win the World Cup. I don't look for that to be this year, or possibly in the next 3 World Cups, but who knows? Eventually, maybe they'll start getting up young talent. They'll get better. I mean, they have Kazuki Honda. He's an absolute beast. I mean, he really does play good for in the Russian league, and for Team Japan, he plays good as well. And I mean, their set piece they took today, which was the one they headed in. I mean, that was just very good. It was very fundamental. And the way he positioned the header to get it past Buffon, Buffon, a world-class keeper, one of the best in the world, possibly in the top 3 best keepers in the world right now, and they just basically figured him out, and they scored on him 3 times. And it was a very good game. And then of course Balotelli continues his streak of not missing a penalty. I mean, that man is a legend. Man, there's so much to say about Italy. I mean, Pirlo's free kick in the first game, but what happened? They go from playing a very solid first game, didn't they sort of I don't know if they were tired or what, but they did not play nearly as good as they should have in the second game. And I think it might be a disappointment or a warning sign for them. And then let's talk about, the sort of the Cinderella story of Tahiti. And, everyone loves them, They're a pretty nice little team. Only one actual professional player, and I was really surprised to see it. And, I see him score a goal. I'm like, oh, wow, that's good. They scored against Nigeria, made it 3-1, the 50-something minute. So, hey, maybe they're not actually bad as people think. And then I come back, after the game, because I'm not actually watching the game. I'm like, oh, my gosh, they just got blown out, because it was 3-1. I was like, dang. I mean, 6-1. I was like, dang. I mean, they must have just really fallen apart. I don't know if they don't have the stamina, but I mean, I'm a little disappointed. I really wanted to see them maybe get a draw or something. I thought against Nigeria they might be able to, but actually, the way it looks now, if I'm right, Tahiti will not go to the World Cup. New Zealand actually qualified for Oceania. As all you guys know, the Oceania team will play the 4th place finisher in the CONCACAF qualifying, which right now would be Honduras. But that actually leads me to the next part. Mexico, doing absolutely horrible in the Confederation Cup. They just were eliminated because of Italy's win. That's 2 losses they have now. Not to mention, if they don't beat Japan, that could be 3 losses, or not even a win. I don't know if they'll keep their head coach. They're struggling in qualifying. And I think the main worry sign for them is not as much the Confederation Cup, because, I mean, you're done, you're out of that, but qualifying automatically for the World Cup, because they might not do that right now. And I think that's a really big warning sign to them. Hey, you're supposed to be one of the top teams. You're supposed to be better than Costa Rica, but here you are in 3rd place, only a point ahead of Honduras. No, you should be up with USA, if not ahead of the U.S. And, I don't think the Mexican coach can be secure with his job. He needs to, and if he has his job after the Confederations Cup, he needs to talk to his team, and he needs to get out there, and he needs to really take charge of the team, where he needs to settle them down, and they need to get focused on their goal of qualifying. Because, I mean, if they can slack down and they keep doing bad and they get in that 4th spot, I think New Zealand is a force to be reckoned with. New Zealand qualified for the last World Cup, and you just can't take them lightly like they're taking them. I mean, I don't know if they're not trying as hard, but they just don't look great out there. I know they're missing Carlos Vela, who's basically refused to play for the national team, the best player by far for Mexico. Getting the team of the season cards in Mexico, just showing how consistent he really is. Best Mexican player, and now most Mexicans hate him for not playing there, and they don't care about his soccer career just because he's refusing to play for the national team. Missing one of your key players, they need to sort of find themselves in the next couple qualifying games, if not against the game against Japan, sort of find themselves, and they need to stay focused and qualify, or else I don't think if they get in that first spot, I don't know if they're going to be able to beat New Zealand and qualify for the World Cup. And if they don't qualify for the World Cup, the manager from Mexico can go ahead and kiss his job goodbye, because he will not be staying with Mexico if they are not in that World Cup. And then lastly, I think I'm going to talk about the U.S. Even though I do live in the USA, I do not support them as much in men's soccer. I will cheer for them. I watch their games, and I always hope they'll do good. But I mainly support Germany, being part German. But as I say, I do support the U.S. some, and I really like what they've sort of done lately in the past couple of weeks, sort of in qualifying, winning their games. Josie Altidore finally coming in form, being a top scorer in his league. I think he was second in the league behind Wilfred Boney in the Eredivisie for goals. He had, I think, 30-plus goals on the season, and he truly dominated out there. And who knows, hopefully he can get transferred into a bigger league, maybe go to England and play for teams in the Premier League, or go to the French League, or Serie A, just somewhere to get more exposure, play against tougher opponents, sort of build his skill level so he can improve, and really dominate the more higher level teams in the World Cup, maybe so he can get some experience against Spanish players, or learn how Spain would play in the World Cup. So maybe when we get to the group stage of the World Cup, he can play against those higher level players than what he's playing in Netherlands. No offense to the Eredivisie or anything, but the tougher talent is in these leagues like the BPL or EPL, the League One, Serie A, BBVA. If he can just get in those leagues, I think really the talent can help. Because look at Clint Dempsey, plays for Tottenham. His talent has grown much from playing from Tottenham than playing over in the MLS. He plays for them. Same for Tim Howard. They're playing against world-class players, and they're growing and getting better overseas. And if he can get over and play, like I said, for the BPL, even if it's not for an amazing team, if he can get an Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, I wouldn't complain if he definitely went to Aston Villa, or get to a newer team. He could, face tougher opponents. He can score more on the teams. He can be more of a world-class striker. And that goes for all the American players. If they can just get over to different, countries, get on, tougher leagues. Like I said, no offense to the MLS, but if they can just get to tougher leagues, the USA could be a force to be reckoned with in coming World Cups. Not to mention this one, if they can continue their form all the way into the World Cup, I have really strong chances of them maybe getting, a little far on the knockout stage. I'm not going to say win it, because as of right now, I have Germany winning the World Cup, even though they do have a little scare against the US. I mean, Germany's got so much talent. They got the team players from Munich and Dortmund, and that league is just so many players. Because when I watched the U.S. versus Germany game, there were players on there that that's like their sort of their C team. They're fighting for the spots on the team, and those guys are actually playing on Champions League teams. So you gotta watch out for them. And the U.S. beat them, so I mean, kudos to the U.S. and hopefully they do good in the World Cup. But guys, this is gonna be the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoy this. I want you to know what you guys think about this, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.